Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Cycle on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Mukhtar Kasim. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. We begin from the presidency, where President Bola Tinubu has described traditional institutions as a crucial mechanism to promote peace, strengthen unity, and develop grassroots in the country. President Tinubu stated this at the final reception held in honor of the late Awujale of Ijebuland, Oba Sikiru Adetona, at the Dikbo Dina Stadium. The president, who was represented by Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun, said his administration's renewed hope agenda was designed to reposition institutions across the country, with monarchs being ceremonial figures to active in nation building across the country. Vice President Kashim Shettima has defended the quality of Nigerian professionals following claims by Moneypoint CEO Tosin Enirolwandu that the country lacks enough skilled workers who meet global standards. Speaking at the 2026 graduation ceremony of the American University of Nigeria in Yola, Shettima acknowledged concerns about capacity development, but argued that Nigerian talents remain competitive and is responding to global market opportunities and economic realities. He called for stronger partnership between universities and industries to build structured talent pipelines, while urging graduates to focus on solving Nigeria's challenges instead of pursuing only personal survival. Special advisor to the President on Media and Public Communications, Sunday Dare, has defended the economic reforms introduced by President Bola Tinubu's administration, describing them as difficult but necessary measures aimed at preventing economic collapse and repositioning the country for sustainable economic growth. Dare said this at a Northern Stakeholders Forum Hall engagement in Kaduna State, organized by the supporters of President Bola Tinubu under the umbrella of the Tinubu Door-to-Door movement, with participants expressing support for the president's re-election bid ahead of the 2027 general elections. The president's special advisor also noted that the administration's policies, including fuel subsidy removal and foreign exchange reforms, were critical steps towards restoring fiscal stability and improving investor confidence in Nigeria. President Bola Tinubu has celebrated elder statesman and Afenifere leader Reuben Fasoranti on his 100th birthday, describing him as a symbol of integrity, principled leadership, and dedicated service to Nigeria. Tinubu praised Fasoranti's contribution to Yoruba political development, recalling his active role in the Action Group, the Unity Party of Nigeria, and his service as Commissioner for Finance in Old Ondo State between 1979 and 1983. The president also commended the Afenifere leaders' pro-democracy advocacy during military rule, saying his commitment to justice, unity, and democratic governance remains a lasting legacy. Away from the presidency, the Nigerian Democratic Congress (NDC) has zoned its 2027 presidential ticket to southern Nigeria and the 2031 ticket to northern Nigeria, as the party held its first national convention in Abuja ahead of the 2027 general elections. Political correspondent Ubong Usoro, who was at the convention, now reports.
At the convention, the Nigeria Democratic Congress said the decision to zone its 2027 presidential ticket to southern Nigeria and the 2031 ticket to northern Nigeria was aimed at ensuring fairness, inclusion, and equal representation of all sections of the country. The party also retained members of its National Working Committee through a consensus agreement, which party leaders described as a move to strengthen unity within the party ahead of the 2027 elections. Speaking at the convention, the national chairman of the party, Richard Cleopas, said the NDC was formed to rescue Nigeria from its present challenges and provide credible leadership for Nigerians.
What began as a patriotic vision by committed Democrats gradually evolved into a determined struggle for political inclusion, democratic justice, and constitutional rights of citizens.
Also speaking, the national leader of the party, Seriake Dickson, called on Nigerians to support efforts aimed at strengthening democracy and promoting good governance in the country.
But we again show, and we are consistent to show, the difficult but necessary path that will lead to a multi-party democracy, respect for all citizens, and a better Nigeria.
Former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi, in his speech, stressed the need for unity, accountability, and leadership focused on the welfare of Nigerians.
We need unity in Nigeria. We want to unite Nigeria. We want Nigeria to love each other.
Speaking with journalists at the event, Chidi Okoye, an Anambra senatorial aspirant under the NDC platform, expressed confidence in the future of the party, saying the convention marks the beginning of a new political movement for Nigerians seeking change.
The structure is the people, and we have the people. The Nigerians we know today are no longer happy the way things are going in Nigeria. So whether we have offices in every local government or not is now inconsequential. Rather, we want to know that people want a change, and we're here to provide a change.
The convention ended with party members reaffirming their commitment to building a strong opposition platform capable of shaping the country's democratic future ahead of 2027. Ubong Usoro, Global TV News.
The Minister of Youth Development, Ayodele Olowande, has called for a strategic shift towards intellectual empowerment and human capital building, urging Nigerian youth to move beyond peripheral roles to become the core architects of the nation's political future. Kabir Hassan reports.
Speaking at the National Youth Leaders Hangout with journalists in Abuja, the minister emphasizes that the path of 2027 requires a foundation built on substance and policy-driven engagement. He argued that government support is pivotally focused on creating strategic policies that empower the youth through education and professional development.
I said it before, our leaders does not fight themselves. It's just a personal interest. And after the personal interest, don't be surprised that they will still go to ministry when your political party enter and say that, come and give me job. I've seen that. I'm a minister now. I've seen a lot of things. Some things that are not available to me before are available to me now. Don't be surprised that majority of them, the fund that they are giving to you are still being held in government or whatever. And still, you will find it difficult for a young man, probably because I'm a minister now and I'm a youth. You don't want to greet me because I'm in power. But don't forget, one day I will also leave power.
Reinforcing the call for a new leadership paradigm, the guest speaker, Senator Shehu Sani, represented by Priscilla John, challenged the attendees to unify their voices across party lines. She noted that the true seat at the table is earned through the quality of one's ideas and intellectual contribution to national growth.
It is time for Nigerian youth to champion issue-based campaigns, unity, peaceful election, and good governance. To the youth leaders gathered here today from different political parties, history has placed a huge responsibility upon your shoulders. You must prove that politics can be competitive without being destructive.
According to the Forum of National Youth Leaders, the event will serve as a bridge between the media and political actors and express optimism that the engagement will foster a more transparent political environment. The forum, which brought together youth heads from all political parties, focused on the theme of youth placement in upcoming political decisions. Kabir Hassan, Global TV News.
Let's now turn our attention to education, where homeschooling has emerged as a growing alternative for parents seeking more control over their children's learning experience, with digital resource expanding and online platforms becoming more accessible. Families are embracing flexible, personalized models that differ sharply from the mainstream school system. Our correspondent, Nafisa Baba, takes a closer look at this growing phenomenon.
In recent years, homeschooling has become an increasingly popular option for families seeking an alternative to traditional public or private schools. With the rise of digital learning platforms, online resources, and changing attitude towards education, more and more parents are taking control of their children's learning. In this special report, we will explore the world of homeschooling, its benefits and challenges, and what it means for the future of education.
Because of the current situation of Nigeria now, insecurity and all that, I would say every parent should have a teacher for their child.
Homeschooling offers several benefits, including personalized learning and attention, flexibility in scheduling and pacing, ability to tailor education to individual learning styles, reduce peer pressure and social conflict, increase family time and bonding.
For a country where their infrastructure is highly developed, where you will not have issues when it comes to network issues, there is nothing wrong with online. But like in Nigeria, where we're still developing, I think it's better for children to have physical classes rather than online.
While home training can be a great option for some families, it also presents several challenges and concerns, including lack of socialization and social skills development, limited access to resources and facilities, potential biases in curriculum and teaching, increased responsibility and burden on parents.
If you look at the international community and look at the Nigerian system, the welfare of teachers has never been considered. And this is the motivational variables that every individual needs to look forward to.
As technology continues to evolve and improve, it's likely that homeschooling will become an even more viable and attractive option for many families. With the rise of online digital platforms, virtual reality, and other digital tools, homeschooling is becoming increasingly sophisticated and effective. Nafisa Baba, Global Television News.
You are watching the live broadcast of News Cycle. News Cycle continues after this weather forecast plus business, foreign, and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Temperatures remain high across the far northern region, while daytime heat is also building over the central and southern parts of the country. So it's going to feel quite hot in many areas. Remember to stay hydrated and take all the necessary precautions, especially if you will be outdoors. Across the central parts of the country, there's chances for partly cloudy skies through much of the day. And for those waking up in parts of Rivers, Bayelsa, and Cross River State, there is also a chance of early morning thunderstorms. So keep that umbrella close. As we move into the evening hours, rain chances begin to increase as moisture pushes further inland. This could trigger isolated thunderstorms across southern Taraba, several cities in the southeast and parts of southwest, including Osun, Ondo, Lagos, and other coastal areas. And that's your weather for Monday. Thank you for watching.
You're welcome back from that break. If you're just tuning in, this is the live broadcast of News Cycle on Global Television. Now to business news, where the federal government says it is intensifying regulations on corporate sustainability with plans to enforce stricter environmental, social, and governance reporting standards for companies by 2028. The move, driven by the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Financial Reporting Council of Nigeria, aims to align Nigerian corporate practices with global sustainability standards. The position was highlighted during the launch of the Nigerian Corporate Sustainability Report in Abuja, where officials urged businesses to strengthen climate and environmental accountability. Now, the trend of micro and small businesses in Nigeria's capital, Abuja, is becoming alarming, defacing the city and making it more of a marketplace than the administrative capital it was designed to be. And this phenomenon has not only become a common sight all over Abuja, but it is fast becoming redefining the perception of the city by both residents and visitors. Sadia Yakubu provides insight on the dynamics of hawking and its implications.
The practice of selling goods on the streets or along roads has become an increasingly visible feature in Abuja, despite the city's status as a planned urban center with strict regulations. Hawking persists as a daily survival strategy for many. At the Federal Secretariat, for instance, business of food items and other household commodities is patronized by people who work in the area. Although hawking is prohibited in the city center, many of the vendors, especially young people and women, resort to selling items such as snacks, drinks, electronics and clothing due to lack of gainful employment opportunities. Respondents speak on major factors driving this trend.
My own problem is say as the country they had, may they just allow us more they manage our life they go. Anything what we see, more just they manage to survive with our children.
As women in the society, in the community, so we are strong to feed our children. But the task they are always disturbing us.
People from less developed regions migrate to Abuja in search of better livelihoods, often end up in setting up small businesses like hawking and selling of items for survival. Street hawking in Abuja reflects a broader socio-economic challenges. While regulatory enforcement is necessary, long-term solutions must address poverty, unemployment and inclusive urban planning. Sadia Yakubia here, Global Television.
Now, the United States imported crude oil worth $578.78 million from Nigeria in the first quarter of 2026, representing a decline from the $681.40 million recorded in the same period of last year. Data from the United States Census Bureau and Bureau of Economic Analysis showed that Nigeria supplied 7.84 million barrels of crude oil during the period, reflecting weaker demand and lower monthly export, especially between February and March. And despite the decline, Nigeria maintained its standing as the major position in Africa's major crude supplies to the United States, even as overall African exports to the American market shifted. And now to news-making rounds. On the foreign scene, hundreds of supporters of Mali's military junta gathered in Bamako to show allegiance to reaffirm their support for the transactional authorities, following renewed attack by armed groups across the country. The rally came weeks after coordinated attacks by jihadist and separatist groups reportedly killed several people, including Defense Minister Sadio Kamara, while militants seized towns and military bases in one of the heaviest attacks since 2012. The Mali's government, which seized power in 2020 and later turned to Russia for security support, continues to face growing pressure amidst worsening insecurity and instability. Passengers have begun disembarking from the antivirus-hit cruise ship MV Hodios, anchored off Tenerife in Spain's Canary Island, as health authorities intensify containment measures. Now, Spain's nationals evacuated from the vessel are being flown to Madrid for quarantine, while officials say none of the more than 140 passengers and crew currently on board are showing symptoms of the virus. The outbreak has already claimed 3 lives, although the World Health Organization maintains that the global public health risk remains low as evacuations continue. Now to Europe, where Russian President Vladimir Putin says the war in Ukraine is gradually winding down as Moscow and Kyiv exchanged accusations of violations of a United States brokered ceasefire agreement. Speaking after the scaled-down Victory Day parade in Moscow, Putin criticized Western military support for Ukraine and insisted Russia's military objectives remain justified amidst ongoing tension with NATO-backed forces. And the Russian leader also said he is willing to meet Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky in a third country once conditions for a potential peaceful agreement are fully resolved. And now to the Middle East, where Tehran has sent its response to a United States proposal aimed at ending the conflict to mediating Pakistan. And this is according to Iranian media reports, as Qatar's prime minister warned that using the Strait of Hormuz as a pressure card would only deepen the crisis amidst rising regional tension. However, Israel continues its bombardment of Lebanon with at least 24 people killed and further attacks reported. And now to the world of sport, where the Nigeria Premier Football League has warned clubs against violating fixture directives for the final 2 match days of the 2025-2026 season, stressing that any breach could attract severe sanctions, including points and goal deductions. In a directive issued by the Nigerian Premier Football League Chief Operating Officer Davidson Owumi, clubs were reminded that all remaining matches had been fixed for the same date and kickoff time, with match day 37 and 38 expected to determine the title race, continental qualification spots, and relegation battles. The league body insists that all fixtures must be played simultaneously to preserve sporting integrity and fairness across the competition. Nigeria's women's national under-20 football team have qualified for the 2026 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Poland after defeating Malawi 3-2 on aggregate in a tense qualifying tie. Nigeria entered the second leg in Lilongwe with a 2-0 advantage from the first leg in Ikene, where an own goal by Maureen Kenneth and a strike from Kindness Ifeanyi gave the Falconets a strong edge. Malawi, however, fought back strongly at the Bingu National Stadium, with Faith Chimozu scoring early to hand the hosts a 1-0 win on the day. But it was not enough to stop Nigeria from extending its record of qualifying for every edition of the tournament since 2022. Away from football to tennis, where female world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka has been knocked out of the Italian Open after suffering a third-round defeat to Romania's Sorana Cristea in Rome. Sabalenka lost 2-6, 6-3, 7-5 after struggling with service errors and later receiving medical treatment for a left hip problem during the deciding set. The defeat marks one of the biggest upsets of the tournament ahead of the French Open, while Cristea advances after recording the biggest victory of her career over a top-ranked player. That's it on News Cycle. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and StarTimes channel 276. Kindly follow us across all our social media platforms now showing on your screen using our Global TV NG. I am Mukhtar Kasim. Saying a very big thank you for watching.